Hello, Steve Mills here, and it's great to be back to share with you some more tried, tested and proven ideas on my podcast. Today I want to talk to you about a book by a gentleman called Dr. Robert Cialdini, or Professor Cialdini. And Cialdini wrote this book called Influence, the Science of Practice, among several books that he wrote. But today I want to talk to you about this particular book, because it's a book that is all about influence, which I believe is probably one of the business skills. You know, if you look at everything that you do in business, whether it's influencing yourself to take action, whether it's getting your team to work as effectively as possible, whether it's how you influence people on your website or in your emails or in sales when you're trying to influence people, all these skills come together under the heading of your ability to influence. Now, if I asked you on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being awful, 5 being pretty much the same as everybody else, and 10 being, truly outstanding at another level, then where would your business be in terms of how effective it is at influence? And I'm talking specifically in your marketing. So one measurement of that could be, for example, how many people go to your website and are influenced enough by that website to create an inquiry. What is your inquiry conversion rate? Another one would be, how good are you at sales? How many of those 100 leads that come into your business would you typically convert into a sale? So how good are you at turning that, influencing people to buy your products? Well, Cialdini believes that there are 6 keys, 6 what he calls universal truths of influence. There are 6 tools, if you will, that can help you to become better at influencing people. And Cialdini says, in no particular order, that one of them is liking. People buy from people that they like. I've been saying for many, many years now that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. They buy from companies that they know, like, and trust, and they buy products that they know, like, and trust. So again, this is almost like your mission. Your mission in life, or your mission certainly in business, is to get people to know, like, and trust you, your products, and your company. And so you need to think about what do you need to do in order to do that? What is it? How can you get more people to know, like, and trust you, your company, and your products on your website? What about on the phone? What about in email? And so on and so forth. The second truth is reciprocation. Yeah, I've always believed, and actually my mom told me this when I was a very young boy. She said, you cannot help someone else without helping yourself. And so the more you help other people, the more they're likely to help you. It's like, for example, if I send a book through the post to you, to someone maybe that I don't even know, but you're on my list, let's say, or you're a follower of my podcast. And I just sent you a book through the post saying, look, I read this. I thought you might find it of interest. Please take a few moments, a couple of hours to read it. Would that, do you think, improve or increase the chances of us doing business? So that, let's say I came back to you and said, look, my name's Steve. I'm the guy. I sent you the book last week about influence, the science and practice. Oh, yeah, Steve. Yeah, thanks ever so much. I've read it and da-da-da-da. You with me there? This is not a cold call anymore. This is not cold calling people who don't want to speak to you. This is calling a friend who I've already helped, who already likes me to some extent, because I've given him a gift. I've paid for something. So, again, it's all about what are you going to give away? Could you give away a report? Could you give away a book? Could you give away a webinar? Could you do a podcast like this where you're giving away your advice and experience based on, the 30 years that you've been doing whatever it is you do? And, the answer to all that is absolutely you could. You definitely could. It's just a matter of whether you will or not. And so, if that's the case, then, why don't you try to think about something that you could, for example, give away on your website, through social media, maybe on your email list, maybe when you stand up at the next networking event, and in truth, through each and every element of your marketing. So why don't you do that? So if you did, then that might help you to increase the amount of business you win through reciprocation, because you've given something away in the first instance and increased the likelihood that some of that, if not all of it, will come back. The next tool of influence, the third one, is social proof. Social proof. When enough people buy something, we're more likely to buy it ourselves. Apple are a great example of that. The new iPhone 8 has just been launched as I'm recording this, and all of a sudden, it's getting a bit of a buzz, isn't it? People are talking about it. Not all of them great, by the way, but they're still talking about it. They're talking about it on social media. They're talking about it down the pub or in the cafe. They're talking about it on websites and so on and so forth. Have you got one? What's it like? Is it good? Oh, well, it's this, it's that. And, and it just sort of like swells this sort of media and frenzied sort of interest in something. So again, what's your version of that? How are you going to do that? On your website, if you go to my website, you'll see literally hundreds of testimonials from people, all people saying, I've picked up over the years, saying nice things about me and what I do and my products and my company and so on and so forth. If you go to social media, you'll find exactly the same thing. You'll find people sharing my content. You'll find people recommending me. You'll find people endorsing me on there. Now, I'm saying this to you not to try to impress you, but just to impress upon you. I've got nearly 60,000 social media contacts. Now, that's more than most. It's nowhere near as many as some. But, I've taken the time to build those up. And I win, let's say a significant amount of money from social media. And most of that's actually from LinkedIn. But, if you want to do the same, you've got to social proof you, your business, and your products. If I went onto a page on your website, and let's say it was a product page, you sold, product A on that page, how well social proofed is that page? Because, I've been on hundreds, if not thousands of websites, and there's zero product proofing on there. There's zero social proofing on there. There's just nothing. There's no testimonials. There's no nothing. So, if you did, perhaps that would make a difference to your business. Next one is scarcity. This is the old last biscuit in the tin scenario. In my house, when we've only got a few biscuits left, or perhaps even one biscuit, everybody wants it, and especially if it's a chalky biscuit. And, that's what that's about. Now, one thing I think about this particular strategy is it must be used ethically. I run workshops. And the last thing I want to do is send an email out saying, just to let you know, the workshop's nearly full. We've only got 3 places left. This email's gone out to 100 people, first come, first served. And then they get there and the room's half full. Yeah, that's just ethically wrong. It's actually better not to get that sale than it is to lie to get that sale. So, that I think is really important. Other ideas are around things like, this offer expires today at 5 o'clock. If it does, then don't sell it at 6 o'clock. Tell them, look, I'm sorry, it's too late. That offer's no longer there. You've got to educate your audience to believe what you say. Another one might be, these are the last 20. When they're gone, that's it. So it could be a time limited offer. It could be a numbers limited offer. It's just something that you're going to use to reduce, to create urgency, to get people to need to act right now. Number four is what's called authority. When you're in authority, you are the key person or the key business of influence. You're the expert in your field, and you're positioned as the authority in the minds of your prospects and customers. And so, how do you achieve that? How do you become the authority? Well, again, there are many ways of doing that. You could write a book on the subject. If I was, I don't know, let's say if I was I keep using landscape gardener. I have no idea why. Maybe that's an inner need to be a landscape gardener. I doubt it very much, as I know nothing about landscape gardening. But if I was a landscape gardener and decided to set up business in landscape gardening, do you know one of the first things I'd do? I'd write a book on landscape gardening, and I'd give that book out to people who were considering landscape gardening, landscape in their garden. And I believe that would position me as an authority in that market. He's written a book on it. He must really know what he's talking about. And the truth is, I could write a book on landscape gardening without any problem. It'd just be a matter of doing the research, or even outsourcing it to a ghostwriter, using one of the many different online websites like People Per Hour, or one of those sites. So that's one way. And another way would be the way you dress, possibly. Another way could be what you're like when you stand up at an event. Another way could be to run an event yourself and invite people, so people have come to see you and listen to you talk about something. Another way could be to write a report or a white paper on something. Another way could be, the way even your office looks. When people walk in there, if they think, oh, wow, look, this is, clearly a very professional organization, then, the job of your office is done. That's what you want to try to create. It even comes down to the really little things like, the quality of your business card. If I say, I'm a real top-notch marketing expert, and then I give you my cheap, business card that looks like, I've got it done for, £500 for £10. The position in there, the authority is just diminished. It's just, what I say I am and what people think I am are two different things. And so we've got to make sure that everything that we do, everything that we are, and everything that we say positions you, your products, and your company as an authority, as an expert. People defer to experts. Do you want an expert, or do you want somebody who appears as though they don't know what they're doing? I know which I want. Which sort of leads me in to the sixth universal truth of influence, and that is consistency. Consistency. People align with their clear commandments. So what is consistency about? I'll give you one example. McDonald's. When you go to McDonald's, you know exactly what you're going to get, even if it's not very good. McDonald's are incredibly consistent because they've got a system for doing anything and everything. So that no matter where you go, anywhere around the UK, Europe, the world. You get the same burger and the same bun and the same chips and the same everything. And so the business is consistent. The brand is consistent. The question is, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Is your marketing message consistent? Is your brand consistent? Have you got a website that looks like this and a brochure that looks like that? Have you got a top quality business card, but the rest of your stationery is really in need of an update? Perhaps you've got really good marketing materials, but when people come to your office, you just don't look the part. I remember a great story. This guy, I met this guy at a networking event a little while ago, and we sat together, got on instantly really, really well. And he was an IFA, independent financial advisor. And we got talking about business and finance and marketing, and he was liking me, I think, and I was definitely liking him. And we got together after the event, and we had a coffee, and that lasted about 45 minutes. And the idea behind this was I was going to help him with his marketing, and he was going to help me with my personal finance, looking at my investments and my pension and so on and so forth. And we came out of the car park. We came out to the car park, and we stood chatting for a couple of minutes, shook hands, and off we went to our respective cars. And he got in a car which must have been worth no more than £300. And I've got to say, I know you shouldn't judge people by their car. I know there are many probably eccentric millionaires out there who drive around in rusty old rust buckets and so on and so forth. But it did have an effect on me. I did think, do I really want somebody to advise me who is driving, advise me in terms of my finances, and he's driving around in a £300 car. It did put me off, I've got to say. So I think that's where that message about consistency comes in. People judge you by everything from, how well groomed you are, to the clothes you wear, to the business card you give them, to your office. They're looking for clues constantly as to, is this genuine? You say, well, I'm a leading expert in my field. Our business are the best in our industry. And we're looking for information to substantiate that. Is that true? And if we don't find it, we probably won't buy. Because what we've got to do, you remember right at the beginning I spoke about the what I call the 3 10s. I actually took that from a gentleman, or I learned that from a gentleman called, what's his name? The Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan Bellefonte. Sorry, I had a bit of a mental block there. Jordan Bellefonte, who's the Wolf of Wall Street, now redesigned himself as the world's leading sales trainer. And he says that you need to get a 10 out of 10 in terms of people knowing, liking, and trusting you, knowing, liking, and trusting your business, and knowing, liking, and trusting the products and services that you offer. So if you don't get a 10 out of 10, people are not going to buy. And when they first come to you and you first open up that conversation, they may be only a 4 or a 5. They've actually made an inquiry. So they looked at your website, for example, and thought you looked, a reasonable company. But, at the end of the day, they've decided that, to go somewhere else. So, whether they go to you or go to your website depends on the quality of that website, the authority behind it, the use of scarcity, your social proof, how you use reciprocation, and how you get people to know, like, and trust you. Now, one final point before I finish, and that is, if these are the 6 universal truths, liking, reciprocation, social proof, scarcity, authority, and consistency, then really you need to think about each and every element of your sales and marketing and ask yourself, are you using them? So if you took, for example, a sales page that you currently use, and you said to yourself, am I using liking on that page? What is there on there that could get people to like me? Is there a photograph? Is there a photograph of the product? That might help to get people to like the product. Is there a photograph of me so that people think, that seems a decent, genuine person? Is there a photograph of my company, or perhaps my office, actually showing that we are a proper business, not just this dodgy website somewhere? Reciprocation, how are we using that? Have we got, anything on the page that says, this is a special offer, it expires on the 21st? Social proof, have we got testimonials on there? Have we got a video testimonial? Have we got several video testimonials from people saying how great we are or how great the company is? And so on and so forth. So, think about each and every element of that and apply it to your website. So that's it for this week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you need any more help from me, if you would like to book a results focused meeting, be very happy for you to do so. I'm definitely right now looking for new businesses to try to help. I run something called my private practice, which is a one-to-one training on a weekly basis, plus a group meeting. If you go to my website, stevemills.co, you'll find details about that there. And that's about it. So thank you ever so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Thank you.